The US president says it's barbaric murder. Britain's prime minister calls it pure evil. The Islamic State group has released a video apparently showing the beheading of a British aid worker. Now, 44-year-old David Haines was kidnapped in Syria last year. His apparent murder follows the beheading of US journalist James Foley on August the 19th, and another US journalist, SOTLOFF, earlier this month. Earlier, my colleague Shakuntala Santaran spoke to our correspondent Sue Turton, who is in the Iraqi city of Erbil.
And it comes just after a day that David Haines' family released a video appealing to the Islamic State for the men who kidnapped him to make contact. But it seems that this, the first of aid worker to be killed in this way, links now to another aid worker. We're hearing that at the end of the video, a second British guy, beheading, also an aid worker, has now been threatened, and it looks like this cycle will now continue. It's directly aimed at David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, saying that it's because he is an obedient lapdog of the Americans by joining in the coalition against the Islamic State. And it even relates it to the bombing of the Haines dam that started just about a week ago. So a direct threat almost to the British government that if you continue being part of the coalition, then another British citizen is going to die. It was very clear when we were going in and out of Syria back in 2013 that there was a lot of hostage taking going on, and at that point, of course, we didn't know that a group called the Islamic State were going to be the ones that these hostages would eventually end up with. But it seems that black market has carried on since 2013, and we don't know exactly how many hostages the Islamic State do hold, but I think we can be certain it's dozens. A lot of families, when they hear that their relatives have been taken after a media blackout, and that's certainly the case, I think, with many journalists have been taken, there's been negotiations to try and release those journalists, but there's been absolutely no evidence that anybody has been released by the Islamic State, when other groups in Syria, Jabhat al-Nusra being one of the main ones, have taken journalists before. There's been a way of negotiating a release, but there seems to be no way with the Islamic State that once they have taken someone, or indeed, as you say, the black market has sold them onto them, that they can be released unless, of course, they're rescued. And we know that the Americans tried to rescue James Foley, and that turned into a failed attempt. So just how long this cycle is going on, a dreadful state of affairs, really, and just whether it's going to include any other citizens from other countries. At the moment, it's Americans and it's the British.
Yeah, and we're wondering now whether this will push the UK government to take a stronger action. They're already arming Kurdish fighters, aren't they, Sue?
They are, and they have promised pretty much anything apart from combat troops on the ground. First it was sending non-lethal weapons, then it was weapons and taking part in humanitarian aid drops, and now it's even gone beyond that and gone to British jet fighters getting involved in air strikes. There does never seem to be any sense when these beheadings the beheading videos are released that any of the countries involved are going to waver in any way. And in fact, I think it probably makes their resolve even more resolute to try and join the coalition and push back against the Islamic State fighters in Syria and Iraq. And as you say, the British Prime Minister has come out really attacking this video, condemning this video as an act of pure evil.